Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we focus on being organized, decluttering, and really taking the inside look into our lives as to how to make our space and our life a lot better when we go through our stuff and organize and declutter. Make sure you like and subscribe here, and you can follow me on all the social media channels as well. So let's dive into it. When it comes to decluttering and organizing, there's many steps to get to both of those spots. However, one of the hardest things, and also when I work with clients or when I do different types of workshops, the main thing that people have a really hard time with over and over again is getting rid of stuff, what to get rid of, how much to get rid of. There's not just a one answer, one size fits all. However, here's 3 tips on what to get rid of. So tip number 1, something that is not edifying your life anymore. It could be a gift that you were given maybe this year, maybe last year, maybe 20 years ago from a relative that maybe you haven't even met before. My aunts, removed cousins, grandpa's in-law, right? It may be an heirloom that you really don't want anymore. And if that is the case, I recommend going ahead and either donating it or giving it back to the person who gifted it to you. I don't know if that's the right word or not. But when it comes to those type of items, they're not edifying your life anymore. You don't want to see them anymore. You don't want to be surrounded by them. So when you're focusing on something that's not edifying you anymore, it's similar with relationships, right? Maybe there's some friendships or maybe even family members that are really bringing you down. They are not edifying you. It's negatively impacting your life. So when it comes to friends or family like that, those people really shouldn't be in our lives anymore. Similar with stuff, okay? So if it's not adding value is another way you can put it too. If it's not, when you see it, if you're like, oh yeah, I enjoy that item. It gives me a flashback of a great memory, great friendship, great relationship. But if it is just something that keeps tearing you down every time you see it, every time you use it, I'll give you an example. I had this beautiful yellow clutch. Yellow is one of my favorite colors, and I was using it, and I just got this yucky feeling every time I used it. And after a while, I realized that was like the only clutch that I used when I was in my ex-abusive relationship. So every time I used it, I would get an internal flashback. Like, it has been years. I am so healed from it. I'm so thankful that is a long time ago. But something's kept triggering it. So I was like, okay, nope, I'm getting rid of it. It's still great quality. It was a beautiful clutch. But again, that time had ended for it to be a part of my life because it wasn't edifying me. It was like, ugh, no more, right? So that's one of the tricks, or one of the tricks, however you want to say it. Tip number 2 is if it's not a part of your season, it's not a part of your lifestyle anymore. So for example, if you have kind of younger kids that you may have all these like baby clothes left over and you're not going to have any more kids and you don't really have anyone to give them to, that season is over. I'm not saying you can't keep, precious items from when they were a baby, when they were younger, but that baby season is over. I know it's hard to move on from, that season. Actually, let me rephrase that. I can't relate because I don't have any kids. However, I have a sister that had, kids that grew up, and my mom had to go through that whole process as well. And similar even with mine, like getting rid of some of my baby clothes and clothes when I wasn't the same size, even in my 30s, right? It's a transition of that season is done and over with. And again, you can hang on to some of the pieces that really stand out and you really prize and you enjoy, but that's one of the examples. Or maybe you are an empty nester now and you have a whole room or 2 rooms full of the items from your kids when they actually lived there. Like, you're empty nesters now, and they may have their own home, or they're out, living their life. And sure, it's a process to kind of get that stuff out of your home. And I'm not saying you have to do it overnight, but what I am saying is that realizing what this stuff is doing to you that's around you, in your home, in your purse, in your office, in your car, it is impacting you either negatively or positively. So kind of allowing yourself to realize, like, oh wow, I totally forgot the entire room was full of my kids' stuff, or there's boxes and bins still left in the garage of kids' clothes from the other season, or maybe an ex, or maybe a friendship that you're no longer a part of, that it's just not a part of your season now. It's not a part of your life. So that is one thing. And the last thing, and sure, all these can be dove into even more. Be sure to continue watching my videos because I'm going to dive in even further. But the third tip or trick is something that is just not speaking to you anymore. It might be the right season. And an example for this is, so with your closet, it might be, in season, like, okay, these are all my summer clothes, or actually it's winter right now. So say all, gosh, these are in season, it's winter. I want to wear all these winter clothes, but they're just not speaking to me anymore. And I'm not trying to use an example of clothes having a soul, because they don't. However, they're an item that you have put time and intention into. You've bought, you have gotten as a gift. It's been some impactful item. As you start going through them, you're going to realize that, I actually don't like to wear that color anymore. I actually hate that style. But until we actually pause and look at what is around us, or look in our closet and mindfully look at the items that are in our closet, which again, I'm using this as an example of, it's just not a part of who I am anymore. This is and another favorite color of mine is this. I don't know if it's orange, salmon, pink, red-ish, but it's one of my favorite colors. Another color in my closet was like this kind of a dark navy blue-ish, and I kept wearing it, and I'm like, gosh, it isn't striking. Something's not adding up right. And once I actually realized, I'm like, I don't like this color anymore. And once we start, cognitively looking at these things, it helps us be more intentional with what we buy, where we put our time and money into. I mean, my goodness, we work hard enough as it is. So putting our intention and our focus into things really goes a long way. So with that being the third tip of, it's not even who I am anymore, right? And sometimes maybe styles will change, actual fashion clothing styles, or maybe there's a painting or picture in your living room that maybe your grandma gave you or someone else painted for you, but it's just not speaking to you anymore. It's not adding, something to who you are as a person, as a human being, and what lifestyle you want. And again, as another example, when we pause and kind of look around with our friendships, what are we doing with our money? What are we doing with the foods that we're eating and the time that we're spending with the people that we love, or maybe the time that we're not spending with the people that we love, or on the hobbies we want to hone in on or get better at, right? When we can take that time, and I'm not saying you have to take hours, it could quite behoove us to actually be intentional with that as well, but taking even those 5 minutes and like, something's not adding up here. Let's look at this. Gosh, it's just not a color I like anymore. Or wow, that's a piece or an item that friendship, it was a part of that friendship back in my past, but it is no longer part of my life now. So I hope you enjoy those 3 tips. They're huge and such key items. So comment below if you have more questions on this or need more specifics. And again, keep on watching for my next videos, as I'm going to dive in even further into these specifics. So again, I believe in you. You can do this. You can let go of these items that are no longer needing to be in your life. You got this. Bye.